What to do, everyday people, man? It's your boy PJ. Today we back with another lit live video back in the confessional. Yep, we staying lit, big dog, man. Shout out to my everyday people who rock with me every day. We back with another lit live video, and shout out to everybody who's been like, where you at on Facebook? Well, we finally live on Facebook again. That was a long 30 days. I tell you, they was trying to hold your boy down. You hear me? They was trying to hold your boy down. But we got a lit live video for y'all today. Shout out to everybody who's gonna watch me on Twitch. And shout out to everybody shout out to everybody who got the links or notification. Shout out to everybody who got the notification on Twitch. Oops. Shout out to the mods, you know. I found something out about the notifications. I think I dropped too many videos for notifications to go out every time, so they only gonna drop about one notification a day. So pretty much if you've already got a notification within the 24 hours of time, then you won't get a notification every time, which is very terrible if you ask me, but you know, it is what it is. I'm kind of salty about it, but if you've already got, if you just hear feedback, that's just me checking off platforms, making sure I say what's up to everybody. All right, so let's go ahead and get it started. Honey Mama on Twitch says, "Hey, the chat mods, trolls, and stalkers." All right, we got another lit video for y'all today, man. This one comes from, the woman is out of LA, but her story starts in North Carolina. And, you know, like I said, she you know, is with a white, she sold off to a white supremacy group, a leader, and yeah, as a slave. So without further ado, thank you all for tuning in. Let's get this party started.
And pregnant women.
Brand new type of comment. I guess I'm going too far with all this shit, you guys. Someone literally just commented and said, "It's funny that as much as you dislike white people, yet you dye your hair to look like a white girl." Y'all, this is like, okay, there have been like 5 people in the last like 2 weeks that said, "Oh my god, I thought you were like Latina." You guys, that is the greatest compliment I've ever received in my entire life. Thank you. Unfortunately, I'm as white as it gets. For those of you who are new here and you don't know, I am a white girl. I'm white. That's why I have a problem, because I don't like being white, because I don't like being associated with y'all, because y'all are terrible human beings and I don't want nothing to do with it. But unfortunately, I am, my blood is tainted, my DNA is ill, Caucasian, evil, tainted by evils of the atrocities that white people have committed throughout all of time. That's why I can't stop talking about it, because I don't like that the blood inside of my body is related to such evil. But anyways, yes, I am unfortunately very white. Yes. Like North Carolina, I'm from the boondocks, y'all. I used to talk like this when I was a youngin', but then I moved to the city and I learned how to talk like an intelligent person because I went to college and got me an education. That's why I talk halfway decent now. I don't talk like fucking trash no more. Brand new type of comment. You guys, it appears that there's a lot of new people here that have the tendency of thinking that I am a Latina woman who is dyeing my hair trying to look like a white woman while talking trash about white people. So let me clear that up for you. Obviously, the new people here do not know my backstory. I'm gonna give y'all a quick little backstory, okay? By the way, this is not how I originally talked. This is the voice that I developed over years of living in a big city after going to college and gaining an education. Y'all, I'm from the boondocks of North Carolina. This was my original voice. I used to talk like people thought I was from Texas. No, honey, I'm from the deep South. And I know North Carolina ain't that deep South, but the racism is deep, deep South. This is as deep as it gets, baby, right there in North Carolina. I'm going to tell y'all a quick story about where I come from. Both my blood parents, they didn't take care of me, but they both are MAGA nowadays, it turns out. That's no surprise. In the boondocks of North Carolina, in a town of 4,000, my mama sold me to a rich man when I was a youngin'. Now, he ain't rich by city standards, but he's rich by boondock standards, okay? He has him a double wide trailer, a F-350, and a Mustang. Oh, and don't forget the above ground pool that you got to fill up with the water hose. Out here in the city, we just have real swimming pools with the filtration. Anyways, that's not what we're talking about right now. Okay, my mama sold me to this man. I was the apple of his eye. I told all my friends at school that he was my daddy and everyone believed it. But really, I was his little child housewife, okay? Y'all, I loved that man with all my heart because all I ever wanted was a daddy. I'm a true daddy's girl at heart, still to this day. Anyways, I lived with him for a couple of years, and then one day I turned 17 and he sat me down and he said, "Look, kid, I'm sorry to tell you this, and you know you have a special place in my heart because I really have love for you, youngin', but you're 17. You're getting too old. By the way, these white men out there, they don't like grown women because grown women formulate their own opinions. So you see, children, they don't have their own opinions. That's why these men, they gotta have children, okay, as their wife." So he said, "Look, you got potential, kiddo. So, and I'm not gonna bury you out yonder in the field. Instead, I'm gonna just cut you loose, okay? And you go out yonder in the world and you make a good life for you. You look like you're gonna be pretty when you're an adult. So you'll find a good husband that will love you, okay?" And he let me go. And then I was living on the streets, and then that's when I met an exotic dancer. She had this big old guap of cash money, and she said, "This here money came from Myrtle Beach. It's 4 hours. It's a 4-hour drive down Highway 264. You guys, it appears that there's a lot of new people.
She said, "This here money came from Myrtle Beach. It's 4 hours. It's a 4-hour drive down Highway 264.
And I said, "Oh, shit." She goes, "How old are you?" "Oh, shit, y'all, I used to be an illegal." She's like, "You're illegal." And I said, "What does that mean?" And she said, "You're not of age yet." She goes, "They're gonna pay triple for you. These rich white golfers out there, they love every woman other than their damn wife, and they especially love girls who are underage, so they're gonna pay triple." So I got in her car and we drove on down to Myrtle Beach. We got to the club and we went to the owner, and he said, "God damn, they're gonna pay triple for you." He said, "Do you have your school ID from school?" And I said, "Hell yeah, I do, because that's the only ID I got." And so he said, "Make sure you show all these tricks that ID so they know that you're underage, okay? In the meantime, we got to find you a fake ID just in case if the cops come up in here ever, okay? We're paying most of them off, but occasionally there's some weird shit going on in there." So they went to the cash register and they pulled out a big stack of IDs from when all the people get drunk and they forget their IDs at the club. We flipped through the whole stack and we found one that looked kind of like me. Her name was Jennifer. So my new name legally was Jennifer, and I was 24 years old on paper, but to these tricks, I was still in high school. And then I worked there until I graduated high school. The day I graduated high school, I left work at like around 5 a.m. I was dressed all fancy in my exotic dancer makeup and hair like a damn porn star. And I got in my car, drove 4 hours to my high school, which I did every day. And I went and I got my high school diploma. I graduated and I came straight back because I didn't have nowhere else to go but the damn strip club. So I came back and they had a party for me, and there was a celebration, and that is how I got the name Graduation. If I were to go to that club to this day, y'all, as a grown-ass woman, they would say, "Graduation, oh my God, we ain't seen you in years. How you doing out there in the city, you weird city liberal?" And so anyways, then
She said, "This here money came from..."
now y'all are wondering, how the hell did I get from out in the cornfields, in the cotton fields, out here to Los Angeles, one of the greatest cities in, I think it's the greatest city in America. I was living in Beverly Hills when I was 19 years old. Y'all, you want to know how we did that? Is one night, it was New Year's night, and we were doing Jaeger bombs in the script club, okay? And this man came in and he said, "God damn, who's that tall glass of water over there? Bring her to me. I want to talk to her." And so then they brought me over and he said, "I'd be damned, you got legs." Y'all, I'm 5'10". You got legs for days. You don't belong out here in the boondocks. What are you doing out here? You need to come with us to LA. And I was like, "What's LA?" And he goes, "That's where all the models." And I said, "Oh my God, my dream is to be a model someday." So they said, "Okay, come, we're leaving in the morning. Come do you got $350? That's how much a one-way ticket costs." And I got in the car with them and we went to the airport that next morning and I flew to LA, y'all. And shortly after that is how I ended up at my first P. Diddy party. That has nothing to do with the situation with this story, but I'm just letting y'all know that's where the fuck I came from, y'all. I'm as white gets. It don't get no whiter than me. Y'all, the man that I was sold to when I was a youngin', he was the head of the fucking KKK in North Carolina. By the way, that's Klan country out there. It's secret now. There used to be a billboard that said, "Welcome to Klan country," and with all the Klan people, and it was to recruit people into the Klan, but now they had to take down that billboard about 30 or 40 years ago, because, now we're all woke and shit. So, yeah, so that's how, yeah. And that's why I have personal insight into the Klan. Not to mention that my baby daddy, who used to beat the living shit out of me every damn week of my life for a whole year, his daddy, which is my daddy-in-law, my father-in-law, he's the damn leader of the Aryan Brotherhood. He's one of the two leaders of the Aryan Brotherhood up in Folsom Prison. If y'all don't know about Folsom Prison, if y'all don't know about the Aryan Brotherhood inside the prison, if y'all ain't never been to prison, then y'all ain't no true Aryan brothers. Y'all ain't truly even white supremacists if you ain't never done time in Folsom. That's how you get your real true initiation, which y'all think y'all part of the boys club, but you actually ain't until you've done and you can't do no little time. You gotta do real time, okay? It took me years before I did my real solid prison sentence, all right? And that's how I gained the respect. Now y'all are wondering how the hell. Now you guys, I want to add a quick point there, because when I just posted this, my best friend from middle school and high school, also she was my girlfriend in high school, just commented and said, "Oh no, you should have stayed with us." And that's the juicy part about the situation. That's the part that is like the issue. I had multiple friends, parents, who were trying to get, like, they were like, "Just let her come here. She's so fucking sweet and precious and innocent. We will take care of her." And they wanted me to come and stay with them. They loved me like their own child. But my social worker through Child Protective Services was the sister-in-law of the man who bought me. So between my mom and then his sister-in-law being the social worker who's in control of the case, they made it where that they were getting paid off to have me stay there with him. So I was not allowed to live elsewhere until I was grown. But then once I was 17, then it's like, okay, now I'm grown. Now I got to survive. I'm not just going to go live at my friend's house. Now I got to get a job. I got to make money. And that's how I ended up in Myrtle Beach. That's how I ended up in LA. Side note, that is... Are y'all ready for my... You guys, it's July. Are y'all ready for my 4th of July rant that's going to piss a lot of people? You guys, it's July. Yo, my page is... Okay, for those of you... Okay, part 5, story time from my childhood. As you guys know, I was a teenage sort of, we're going to call it housewife, okay? When a housewife decides when the time comes that she needs to get divorced, okay, that's like a whole thing that's almost impossible to figure out how to separate your life and then how to become stabilized on your own and establish yourself as a single woman who has been conditioned to be dependent on a man. Okay, I was dependent on this man since I was young, obviously. Okay, so now when I was 14 to 15, I began working. I got a job at Food Lion where I would go and work after school. And in the summertime, I would work in the tobacco fields, but you have to work sun up to sundown. So you can't go to school and work. You can only do it in the summertime unless you want to drop out of school and just be a worker. But I was I love school. I'm a nerd at heart, despite being cute. Also, I'm a super nerd, so I did not want to drop out of school. I was dead set on graduating, which I did, thankfully. So around the time that I was 16, one of my school teachers helped me to get a job at a bank out there. It's called First South Bank. I worked in the vault. This was, you guys, I'm way older than I look, FYI. This was back when they first began the process of putting the files onto the computers, like when we first got computers. So my job was to go into the vault where all the loan files were at, pull a stack of loan files and type that information into the computer, which only young people learned how to type. The old people just couldn't fathom it. So they used me to type the stuff into the files. Anyways, that was my job when I was 16 years old. Okay, because I was a minor, I was making there, the minimum wage today is $7. That at that time I was making $4.50. Okay, so skip forward 17 years old when he's like, okay, you're too old for me now, you got to get out. Okay, that's when the only option out there is to find a night job. The only night jobs are, you know what. So someone took me and put me on, and that's how I started that. So I would go to school, go work at the bank for a couple of hours, leave the bank and drive straight to Myrtle Beach every day, 4 hours away, and go to work at the club. And then I would get off of work as the sun is rising, drive 4 hours back to high school. Okay, part 5, story time from my Part 6 of my childhood story regarding my mother selling me to a rich man. So many people obviously are like, why are these people not in prison? You guys, okay, to quickly go over that real quick. Okay, first and foremost, the town, there's 4,000 people in this town. And as I mentioned, the town is completely controlled by a very select group of people. Use your imagination of who in the South, in a small town, historically, who was owning the land and all of that, which has been passed down through generations, and now it's still being, use your imagination. You guys know what I'm talking about. Also, I later ended up coming into the control of Child Protective Services. You guys, the social worker in this tiny town, there's only like a handful of social workers. The one who got my case was his sister-in-law. So then use your imagination on how that would fucking turn out. Crazy. Straight king hay type stuff. So it's not as simple as calling 911 and reporting that something had happened or whatever. That's not really, because the certain people are in control of the police and all of that. Use your imagination. It's bad. So also another thing is that, okay, because I was in middle school, high school, mainly high school, like 9th, 10th grade. Okay, so when I was living there, obviously, I would have my friends come over sometimes to hang out. I would usually try to go elsewhere, but he has a swimming pool, so my friends would come over and swim. Use your imagination about how that played out, okay? And so with that being said, there's approximately like 6 or 7 other girls involved in the situation also. Those people all still live in that town. And they're married now. Like out there, you get married when you're 18 or 19 and you start having babies and you're a housewife your whole life. Okay, so that's their life. So I'm not gonna, and a lot of some of their husbands are like second cousins type shit to the man. So it's crazy. it's complicated. But do know that I am, in the last couple of years, I did start school. I'm going to school for paralegal. I'm studying law. And so I'm going to take matters into my own hands. That is in the works right now as we speak. So just know that as a little Easter egg in the back of your mind. Part 6 of my child. This part is going to give you guys a little tiny sliver of joy, okay? So he had to get rid of me when I was 17 because I was too old for a pedo at that point. So then I ended up in Los Angeles in the modeling industry, a little bit of adult work, whatever, use your imagination given the circumstances of my childhood. So then I was like 19 or 20. I think I was probably like 20 years old, living in Beverly. I had a little tiny house in Beverly Hills. I was living my best life. I left that place and never looked back. You guys, I just like hit the ground running out here in LA. Okay. One day, so I had lost contact with everyone, whatever. One day my phone rings. I look, it's a North Carolina 252 area code. And so I'm like, hello? And it's him. And I'm like, by the way, I severe Stockholm syndrome. It took me over 10 years to begin to realize that situation was not okay, that's not normal. It's like, I did not realize that he was a pedo and that I was a child. Like, I always considered myself lucky for that situation. Like, he saved me from, because my life prior to that was even worse, unfortunately. Anyways, so at that time when I was 20, I was still like, oh my God, hey, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. And so the reason he called me is he was like, look, have you talked to any of those girls? And I'm like, no, like I've lost contact. Like, I'm out here in LA living my best life. And he's like, okay, I need you to like call each one of them and talk to them and just kind of make sure, like, see where they're at, like mentally, emotionally, and make sure that like they're not feeling any type of way and thinking about telling anyone about what happened. He said, because I can't sleep at night, quote unquote. He said, I'm so worried that one of them are going to tell someone. He said specifically, this is what his mind was thinking. He said, I'm worried that one of them is going to be at church one day and they're going to be doing their confessions and they're going to be confessing their sins to the preacher and they're going to mention that. And then a preacher or their parents are going to find out, and then the whole town's going to, and then their parents are going to kill this motherfucker. And I was like, wait, what do you mean? This all went right over my head. I'm like, no, it's fine. No, like, no, they're not. No one's ever going to tell anyone about anything, whatever. And anyways, that was the last conversation that I had with him. He can't sleep at night. And I know that will make you guys very happy. Also, every single view that these videos get, that is one more person knowing what he did, and that is more terrorization to his subconscious. This part is gonna give you guys this is hop in, just throw. Alright, it's time for part 8 of the childhood story. I'm gonna give y'all a little bit of a backstory because you have to understand that at the time when I was sold into that from my subjective experience at that time in my childhood, I was sold into a better life. Okay, I know that's mind-blowing, but give me a second. Okay, my life before that happened was horrific, like, my therapist she's an way older lady, and she has never heard anything. Like, actually, all the people that I've worked with through therapy, they're like, bro, your childhood story I've never heard anything as horrific as that regarding the abuse from my mother. Okay, so I was brutally abused in ways that you can't imagine. I'll go into more detail later, but just so you guys understand, so I was an extremely emo kid when I was, like at school. I was emo, I was cutting everything, it was really bad. Then when that happened, when my mother told me, it was like all of a sudden I was being treated nicely for the first time ever in my life. And some of you are going to get upset that I'm acknowledging that this man was treating me nicely, but you have to understand what I was dealing with before that. So that's why I loved him, because for the first time I was able to just breathe and just like when we're chilling, I was able to just chill and someone was being nice to me, and I had never experienced that before. So that was crucial. Obviously there are what was happening, but when you come from the level of abuse that I had came from, that those instances only men only last a couple of minutes realistically, you know what I mean? So during that time, with him, I would disassociate during okay? He had a ceiling fan in his bedroom, and I would count the because I learned very quickly that this is only gonna last a couple, and then it's gonna be over, and then I get to go back to yay, we can just chill, we can go get food, we can have a normal life, I can go swimming or whatever, So I would count. I would always lose count, obviously, but I would just count. I just knew if I got to the number 2,000 of how many repetitions of the ceiling fan, I knew it was almost over. Okay, we've already made it 2,000 repetitions of the ceiling fan. We're getting close to being over. This is going to be over. And then he's going to be nice to me and everything's going to be beautiful. And yeah. So, all right, it's time for part 8 of the Okay, now I'm going to read to you guys a piece that my little sister wrote. Okay, this piece, she wrote it when she was this was years ago. She was 19 when she wrote this. She's referencing a certain window of time, which was her memories from when she was 5 to 7 years old. Her memories of what we were experiencing, but it was from her personal subjective experience. Side note, when I was sold out, then I knew, my older sister, that's a long story. My older sister, she was a child from hell, you guys. My mother is Satan, and her first child was the spawn of Satan, and they were they reincarnated to battle to the death, okay? So my older sister gave my mom the hell that she deserved, okay? And then it was a years of process of her getting out and whatever. She gave my mom pure absolute hell. I was this precious silent middle child who I would sit, legs crossed, hands crossed, yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, no sir. That's all I would ever say when I was with my mom. So and then I got because I was so submissive and sweet, and all I wanted was to make people happy. I wanted people to be happy with me. I wanted people to be nice to me. That's all that I wanted, okay, as a child. So I would do anything just to make people please just be happy and be nice. I'm so nice. I'm nice to you. Just be nice back to me. That's all that I ever wanted, okay? So with that being said, so I got I took all the bad stuff came to me because I was submissive and quiet and silent, you know what I mean? Anyway, so my little sister, on the other hand, she has a different father. Her father had partial custody, so she would go the weekends with her dad or whatever. So my mom would treat her half decent because she didn't want her to go back and say, oh, this happened, blah, blah, whatever. So she would get treated differently than me and my older sister got treated. But anyways, so then once I was out of the house, my older sister was long gone, then me, okay? Then my little sister was there with our mom. Okay, so I very quickly, I contacted her biological father and was like, I'm just letting you know that I'm no longer there. So it's just your child there with her alone. He flipped the fuck out and was like, oh my God, the only reason why I've been okay with her having custody is because I knew that you're there, you're gonna protect her with your life, you're not gonna let anything bad happen. But no, okay, so they assembled a freaking legal, and they went in and rescued my little sister, got her out before anything too. Okay, now I'm going to read to you guys. Okay, so this piece is long, it might be 2 videos long. This piece that my little sister wrote, she wrote it when she was 19 years old, and this was regarding her memories of when she was age 5 to 7, which was right before we all got taken, everyone was gone from my mother, okay? So this is her recollection of the last, let's say the last 2 years of her living with her mother. And then she never saw her mother again, our mother again, for, I don't know, like 8 years or something. She didn't see or speak to her again until 8 years later, okay? All right, I'm gonna read this to you, okay. I always have so much to say, but hello is always what comes out. My insides are always churning with emotions, but a smile is always on my face, always wanting to open up, but I choose to stay quiet, because who will understand? I walk around just like everyone else because I yearn no sympathy. Strength is what keeps me going, but sometimes I wonder when it's going to run out. I've wanted my whole life to have unconditional love from a motherly figure. As a child, I remember the confusion and fear. My father was never around, but I envisioned him as a Superman, a made-up hero that might save me from this madness. I was brainwashed and starved. I remember never knowing where we were going next. Almost always on the run. 1 week a hotel, the next week in a car. Strange men were always in the equation. I'm just glad I never got raped. I remember being told not to eat anything because it was poisoned. I remember my sister being beaten, but I thought that was the way of life. I thought it was normal not to have lights, running water, or food. I remember my sister hanging herself and mother telling me she was just pretending. It was by an unknown higher power above that she's still alive. I remember getting picked on because I didn't have proper clothes. I never ate at school and I chose to be quiet. My older sister was what made everything seem okay and she showed me boldness, courage, and strength. But after she tried killing herself multiple times, she was taken away. My mother didn't tell me what was going on, and the next morning I had a breakdown at school. I was in the middle of class and the quiet child burst out into tears and started bawling. No one knew what was wrong with me. No one knew what was wrong, not even me. After she got taken away, things turned for the worst. I became the new victim. My mother now beat me like she did my sister. The last memory I have of my mom is being locked in a bathroom and pounding on the door. She told me if I opened up the door that I would be killed. The front door flung open and heavy footsteps came in. Deep voices encouraged me to come out, but I wouldn't. I always did what my mom told me to do. Shortly, the door burst down and I started screaming. They assured me it was okay and everything was over. My grandparents and father was outside. I was right, my dad had saved me. The grass isn't always greener on the other side. Okay, so this piece is long. I was right, my dad had saved me. The grass isn't always greener on the other side. Living with him was like prison. I stayed in my room for the next 4 years. I was only allowed to school and church. Church is for the weak. People that can't manage things on their own. I used to love it until I saw the corruption in my own eyes. My Superman was a youth Sunday school teacher on Sundays and a perverted drunk during the week. How could you preach and profess to be a saint and then be the exact opposite all the other times? That's where I grew to hate church. The last memory I have of my father is him on top of me, choking me, trying to take every last breath I had. I remember getting away and running like I never had before. I ran till I couldn't anymore and never came back. Countless times, again and again, people think they can replace my mother and father. It works for some time, but then it eats me alive inside and out because I know it's not the same and it never will be. I chose to live this on my own. And make something of myself and be everything they're not. I will rise higher and I will fight to be nothing like them. I'm scared of commitment and family. I'm afraid I'll be just like my mother and beat my children. But deep down, I know I'm better than that. Holidays get my emotions up high because it's been 9 years since I've seen my mom. But I live by the saying, in the end, some of your greatest pain becomes your greatest strength. That's why I have it tattooed on my side. It's a constant reminder to push through even when I don't want to. A tattoo won't fail me like the human race will. This is only a taste of what I've been through in life, but it is why I am the way I am today. Okay, you guys, I'm going to post a picture. This picture was approximately 1 to 2 years after me and my sister both got out. This was the first time that I saw my little sister after like 1 to 2 years after we had both, we both had split up and got sent different ways in our lives. And then finally, I think this was her birthday. So I came to visit her family because they lived in like another part of North Carolina. So we were far apart from each other. Anyways, this is me and her. So the piece I just read, this is her memory from when she's this little girl in this picture. that's her, and then the me, that's me who she's talking about, like committing suicide and all that kind of stuff. So that's the two little girls that are being talked about. Y'all, this situation of what's happening has y'all, low-key, y'all, this is part 12 of my childhood story. I recently stumbled upon my photo bucket accounts from back in the day when we had Zanga and MySpace before other social media existed. Anyway, so I'm going to share a few of the pictures with you guys from that particular time. Side note, remember what I told you about? I was very, very emo, and then that situation happened and I was sold into a better life. And so then at that point, after like adjusting to it, I then started to just like blossom, and I was like happier, I guess, and I started like coming out of my shell and stuff, because I was like a silent child before that, whatever. So I'm like it appears I'm living a somewhat decent life. But anyways, yeah, there's the Mustang, the F-350, and the above ground pool that I'm going to show you guys. Okay, so you guys, this is me, as you can see, naked in an above ground pool at someone's house. I'm covering her because her identity. This is me being extremely emo. I was very, very fucking emo. And then this was a puppy that he bought for me, but it turns out that he actually bought this puppy for another woman, and he would take it to work every day. And neither of us, me and her, we didn't know that that we both had the same dog. This is me being very, very emo and sad in the beginning of the situation. Okay, this is me in lingerie at like this by the way, it's like I'm approximately 14 to 15 years old here. This is me at a church event, at a youth church event. Okay, this is me, as you can see, like my hair and shit is the same, whatever. So you can see I am at school. This is literally at school in art class. This is me. This is a car that he bought for me. And then he took it away when I was 17. He took all the cars away, so I no longer had access to cars, and I had to buy my own car. Also, this is the field behind his house, which he owns. That's where I did not get buried. By the way, these are pictures of other girls also laying on the car. We're not going to talk about that because their identities. This is the F-350. This is the Mustang. And then what is the last one? Oh, and then this is me at 18 years old in Los Angeles. And yes, that is Ron Jeremy at the ripe age of 18. He's now in prison as no. I think because he's about to die of old age and dementia. So anyways, but yeah, he's also a predator on the Epstein and Harvey Weinstein and all that shit. Anyway, y'all, this is part 12. This is part 13 of my childhood story. This is another photo dump. This is from Myrtle Beach. All these pictures are when I was dancing in Myrtle Beach. When I was in 12th grade, I was a senior in high school, working at a adult club at night, 4 hours away from my school, because the closest like pop-in place or whatever, so I lived out in the boondocks. Some of these pictures are pictures I took if you know anything about dancing or strip clubs, I'm in the dressing room at the club and in clearly like lingerie or whatever, and then other ones are like during the commute. I would take like a selfie while driving or whatever, and basically anytime you see me in a collared shirt, that's my high school uniform, because we had khakis and collared white or blue shirts. So school uniform, and then strip club. Note, all the women that are in these pictures, they're all dancers from the club that I worked at. They were my only friends at that point, because that was my whole life, was just working, and then I'll go to school and back to work. I had a few close friends at school, but when I started working at night, it just we just distanced from each other naturally, because like no one could like other kids just couldn't like you just can't. It's like, what is my life? Like no one can like wrap their head around it. So I just started hanging out with only strippers. So
I don't know who was paying for that, but
This is part 13 of my child. Mind blown right now in a very sad way. Because what in my childhood story where I was mentioning that I aged out at 17 is the age out. It's called aging out. For PDFs. I just was scrolling and this woman who was talking about like why people should be foster parents or whatever is the number of children who age out of the system. The age of aging out of foster care is the same day of that you age out from PDFs. Stop and think about that. There's 300,000 children right now in foster care. And the day that each child ages out, where they're no longer in foster care, is the same day that they age out, where they're no longer wanted by PDFs. This world is fucking sick, you guys. Mind blown right now in a very sad way. Because what in my childhood story where I was mentioning that I aged out at 17 is the age out. It's called aging out. For PDFs. I just was scrolling and this woman who was talking about like why people should be foster parents or whatever is the number of children who age out of the system. The age of aging out of foster care is the same day of that you age out from PDFs. Stop and think about that. There's Yo, I just realized something very sad, and so I'm sad, but I'm going. I'm not bad. You guys, a lot of people are gonna. Yo, I don't know who needs to hear. You guys, occasionally people. Okay, part 14 of my childhood story. You guys, someone recently commented and said, why didn't you guys just run away? We did. I'm gonna give you a whole story in a future video, but I was an extremely obedient child. I just wanted to like not get in trouble. That was all that I wanted when I was a little kid. My sister, on the other hand, my older sister, I'm the middle child. My older sister, who's 3 years older than me, was the child that you pray to God that you don't. First off, okay, we would be beaten brutally. So it would take like 2 weeks for us to heal. Like our whole entire backside would just be, it was bad. My mom would keep us home for like 2 weeks while we were healing. But then if we were noticed absent for 2 weeks at school, then they would be like, where are these children at? So my mother would just move to a new county so that if CPS got notified, oh, they just moved, like they're not absent, they just moved to a new place. All the time. Okay, maybe when she was around like 10-ish. So when we would go to the bus stop in the morning, okay, my sister would be like, I'm freaking running away. She would curse and everything. She'd be like, I'm fucking running away. Fuck this bitch. Okay, so, and then I would start crying because I don't want to disobey. So I would get on the bus and I would be sobbing because I'm like, I'm going to lose my sister. And I needed her. She was like my security until we got to school. And then when we would get to school and we would have to go to our separate classes, I would cry. I was so sad and sweet as a child, you guys. I was so precious. Okay, so I would get on the bus sobbing because I may never see my sister again, okay? She would be like, bro, I'm leaving, F this. Okay, she would go to all my friends' parents, all her friends' parents, and she would do this on a daily basis. Like every chance she got, anytime the bus pulls up, she's gone, dude. Okay, this was a daily occurrence in our childhood. She would go find someone to harbor her, okay? But you're a child, adults are adults understand things that children don't understand. So it would take a couple hours every time for my mother to hunt her down and find her, because obviously where's a kid gonna run away to? Someone that they know. So she would just go to each person, and you can use your common sense as an adult to be like, what's the more likely person that your kid's gonna go to, okay? So over time, my sister started realizing, okay, go a couple neighborhoods over and go to absolute strangers. She would go and show them all the bruises and everything, and so that's how she eventually started actually getting away. Okay, the end result of that was that my mother had her admitted into 5150 5150 and she was there for 2 months in a fucking mental hospital, okay, because of running away. Who did they release her to? Her abuser. Eventually, she did eventually get... Okay, part 14 of my childhood. This is part 15 of my childhood story. I'm gonna tell y'all about a time when me, my older sister, and my cousin, who was the exact same age as 3 little elementary girls, we ran away from home. My sister was the mastermind behind this whole situation. She spent months planning it. We were going approximately I think 15 to 20 miles away to someone that we believed would actually hide us, like someone that would be like, okay, I'm keeping y'all, I'm hiding y'all, and I'm not gonna let your mom re-get you, okay? So she worked on this for months. Every single time that we would go, by the way, it was our mom's boyfriend's mother who did not like my mom. So my older sister was like, this woman hates my mom. She's gonna be down for us, okay? So my sister spent months memorizing. Every time that we would go there, she would be staring out the window and she would memorize the entire route to get there, okay? Finally, the day comes, she's like, okay, I know exactly how to get to this freaking place. And mind you, it's in the boondocks, from the boondocks, so it's nothing but fields and forests the entire route. We leave at midnight, okay? My mom, by the way, was an exotic dancer. She's working. She's not going to get home till like 6 a.m. Her boyfriend was babysitting us, by the way. He was a very good father figure to us during the time that he was around. She was on and off and had a bunch of different boyfriends, but he was cool as fuck. And anyways, he's asleep. We all get ready, okay? 3 little elementary girls. What we did was we layered our clothes, as much clothes as we could, onto our bodies. Then we got our Easter baskets and we put all of our toys and things. I wanted to bring all of my books. So I had an Easter basket filled with books, okay? And then I had my one prized possession, which was my life-size Barbie doll that was a Rapunzel, that she had the little braid Rapunzel clip that you could clip onto your own hair so you could be Rapunzel, okay? She was as big as me, so I'm carrying this doll that is the size of me, the 3-foot life-size Barbie doll, okay? And an Easter basket full of books, and we embark on this mission. I was crying the whole way because it was so fucking scary. I was hallucinating. I was seeing lions, tigers, alligators. We passed through fields and forests. We were all cut up from thorns. It was insane. Okay, eventually we made it miles away, okay? We get to this big open field that had just been cut. So it was an open ass field, okay? And by the way, we obviously, as we're going, we were like, oh, we have to drop. So, okay, I left my life-size Rapunzel Barbie in the middle of a fucking forest somewhere, and I was like crying, I have to leave her behind. And then slowly we're like, and so with a couple miles later, we have nothing because we had to drop everything because we can't carry this shit anymore. It's just us with layers of clothes cut up from thorns. Okay, we're about to go through this field clearing, okay? This is part 15 of my childhood story. We get to this big open field that had just been cut, so it was an open ass field, and my sister's like, all right, we have to run until we get to the next forest, because if a car comes by and sees us, this whole thing's gonna be a wrap, you know? So we're running through this field trying to get to the next forest, and I'm just sobbing. My whole body hurts. We've been walking and running for miles. Then we see a car coming by, okay? My sister and cousin, they drop to the ground and they're like, get down so they don't see us. And I just stay standing because I want them to see me. Even if they're serial killers, I want them to just come and end my misery, okay? And their headlights catch me. Now they stop, pull over, they get out, and they yell out to us. I just start walking towards them. My sister's like, what the fuck are you doing? Get back here. And I'm like, no, we have to just go with them. And you guys, it is one of those like teeny tiny little like $1,000 like Honda, you know, with the roll up window, okay? It's a car with 3 black men. I remember this like it was yesterday, each man, okay? This one man, he had half of his cornrows done and then half of his afro was out, you know, with the comb. I just get into this car and I'm like yelling out to my sister, please come on, they're gonna take us somewhere, let's just go with them. Like, I surrender, I give up, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, it was so just painful and scary. It was terrifying just being out in the middle of nowhere and it's so fucking scary, you guys. Finally they come, they get in the car, and we're 3 little elementary little white girls, okay, with like layered clothes on, and there's just these 3 black men, and they're just like, what in the frick, like, where you're, like, they're just mind blown. And we're, like, explaining to them, like, what our life is. We have to run away because you don't understand what's going on with our mom. And they're like, okay, we're not going to take you back to your mom, but we are going to take you to the sheriff's station, okay? They drove us straight to the sheriff's, okay? And to this day, you guys, okay, this is one of the foundational moments of why it is that I so amazingly appreciate all different types of people, okay? Because this is just one example of a time in my life when I was that vulnerable and innocent and just could be up for grabs, okay? And let's just say people of color, okay, were like guardian angels, and they did the proper thing. That they did the right fucking thing. They put themselves out there back then. But these people, instead of worrying about their damn selves and being like, oh, this could potentially ruin our lives, this could backfire on us, instead of thinking about themselves. Okay, but the crucial point here is that all of the Caucasian people that are my people, whose job it was their obligation to protect me as a child, and they did the opposite. Yet random strangers of all, we get to this big open field that had just been cut, so it was an open ass field, and
Y'all, I just looked on the map for the first time as an adult at that route that we went when we ran away. It's 130 miles away. I took some screenshots to show you guys the forest and fields that we went through in the middle of the night. And we did not bring flashlights because she didn't want there to be any possible way for anyone to see us. She did align it with the full moon so that we had natural light, because there's zero lighting, there's no houses, no nothing at all that we passed the entire way. It was pitch black darkness. You could probably see the fucking Milky Way, okay? Almost 20 fucking years ago in fucking Clan country, you guys. Y'all, on a side note, my older sister is obviously a freaking psychopath. I was sobbing the entire way. I was just crying, and it was so horrific, and I just wanted it to be over. I just wanted to be put out of my misery, and this is why I'm gonna show y'all pictures.
They was expecting to go 130 miles. That's crazy. Damn.
Y'all, I just looked on the map for the
Okay, you guys, this is part 18 of my childhood story. Before we get into the details about the actual transaction of my mother unfortunately selling me, we're first going to talk about the groundwork of that, which is that, okay, my mother, as I've mentioned, she was an exotic dancer, okay? That's the only job she's ever really had for like 30 years. She's psychologically, the narcissism and all that, she prides herself in being a manipulator of men. And she's like the epitome of the worst type of exotic dancer that there is. No shade on exotic dancers, but I'm just saying she is the example of like the bad one. But when I was around the age of like third grade, she got divorced, and she was a dancer while she was married. She got divorced, and then she started dating one of her clients, which was a super young dude, way younger than her, and she would just treat him like absolute garbage. He's so sweet. He treated us amazingly. He was like a fatherly figure to me. I adored him. I have so much love to him to this day because he always was just so good to me as a child. She would date clients like on the daily. Him and her, they've been on and off for like over 20 years, and like on 1 week, off 1 week, and in between dating him, she dates like a million other people. So anyways, there was always all these other men in the picture. Luckily, most of them are just fucking like, they're decent people, with an exception of that small group of men, which are the ones that I very often speak out about. And as we're seeing on the larger scale right now, if you turn on the TV or open your phone or whatever, we're seeing all that come to light. And ironically, right now. So, anyways, yes, there's those men, and such as the man who bought me from her. Okay. So, with the exception of that very small percentage of men that are that way, they're now all labeled as MAGA basically, with the exception of them, there are so many decent men who, when dating a woman with a child, who the woman is obviously open to exploiting her own child, most men would not take part in that, which is amazing. Thank you, men, for that. The ones that are decent. Anyways, so my mother would date all these different men, and then she met this one particular man. Okay, you guys, this is part 18. Okay, part 19, we're going to get into the actual transaction and how that came about. Okay, one particular man of all the men that my mother was dating, they're all essentially clients from the club, okay, tricks, whatever you want to call them. There was this one man who owned a car mechanic shop, okay? I was around the age of 11, I believe, whenever they met. She was having a car issue. She took her car to him. They were having like a little, whatever. Most men, obviously, like if you're dating a exotic dancer who has children, you're like, oh, like get a babysitter and let's go out to dinner or whatever the fuck y'all want to do, but get a babysitter. Okay. Whenever he met, me, okay, he was like, oh, like I'll take you and your kids out to dinner. Most of the time, my little sister, she has a dad, so she had split custody, so she was with him a lot. So I was always with my mom. I was my mom's like ride or die. I was her precious good child. I obeyed. I was so obedient. Whatever. I would just sit there and like stare at the ground. By the way, side note, I was very sad anytime that she wasn't with, like when she would be cheating on her young boyfriend who I adored, because he treated me very good. I would take it very personally, and it would really, really hurt me emotionally. So I would never, the man that ended up buying me, okay, I would never look at him or speak to him. I would just look at the ground. Sometimes a tear, I was so dramatic and emotional, just emo, okay, but like a tear would just fall down my cheek because I felt like it was so wrong that she was cheating on her boyfriend Aaron, who was so good to her. He adored her, he loved her, he still loves her to this day type shit. So we would go out to dinner, decide like if they were like, oh, where should we go out to eat or whatever, he would always like be like, where does she want to go out to eat, like what does she say? He was like grooming specifically like what do I want, and he was catering to me or whatever. And we lived a particular lifestyle, by the way. Like my mother would not spend any of her money on food for us. That's a whole nother long story, whatever. But anyways, so their food was a major thing, as you guys know, to this day. Every meal I eat, I take a picture of, and I'm like, I love it so much because I was psychologically and physically starved as a child as a form of abuse. And at that time, we lived in government housing, which in the boondocks of the South, that's called the projects or the ghetto. I don't know if that terminology is canceled today, but that's what it was called back then. We lived in the ghetto, okay? We lived there when she didn't have like a trick that was letting us live in a house, basically, okay? So she would not spend any money on being a parent. She would only spend her money on herself. So this was like amazing that this man was like taking us out to eat. And okay, part 19. So this was like amazing that this man was like taking us out to eat. And so he was an exotic dancer. She would work in another state because she lived like a crazy secret double life where she was obsessed with not letting anyone know whatever. So she worked very far away and would stay there and then come back like every couple of days or whatever. So this man started developing like a relationship with me and my mom and like taking us out to eat and stuff like that, and like kind of like trying to build a bond with me, but I wouldn't even like look at him or speak to him because I felt like it was disrespectful to my mom's actual boyfriend who loved her and I loved him. And so I would not like look at any other man or speak to them or acknowledge them. So over time, when during the weekend, she would go for a weekend or the week, or during the summer week to the state where she would work at the club. Okay, so he randomly was like, hey, I'll babysit your kid. By the way, he's like, his house is like there's like posters of naked women on the walls. Like his house is a complete bachelor pad. Like it's crazy. Anyways, so she agreed to that, and so she started using him as the babysitter for me. Okay, so she would, when she was ready to leave town, she would stop by his work, she would pull up, he would come out to the car and hand her like $500 to $1,000 for gas to go to work. She would then drop me off at his house, and then she would leave and go live her life and leave me there. So the first time that she took me to his house for him to babysit me for like a week, he was at work. She went and got the money from him, dropped me off at his house, and then she's gone. I'm at his house and I'm just sitting there on his couch and I'm just like staring at the wall or whatever. He always had NASCAR on the TV. So he comes home from work, and maybe I was, let's say, I want to say like around like 13, okay, that it officially, like we met him around the time I was 11 to 12, and then at 13 was when it was all the way. So the first time that I'm there for a week, he comes home from work, he's like, here, he hands me the remote control, he's like, do you want to watch TV? What do you want to watch? Whatever you want. And I'm like, no, I'm fine, I'm fine, this is fine to watch NASCAR. And then he's like, what do you want to do? What do you like to do for fun? Blah blah, you know, do you have friends? Do you want to invite your friends over? And then he like goes to the fridge, he's like, do you like to drink beer? I have beer. And he's like, you know, all the stuff in his fridge. He has weed in his refrigerator, where he always had a bag of weed and a bag of blow. And I'm like, no, I'm fine, whatever, you know. And then he's like, what do you want to do? Like, let's do something fun. So this was like amazing that this man was like taking us out to eat. And so he was an exotic dancer. She would work in another, you know. And then he's like, what do you want to do? Like, let's do something fun. And so he's like, do you like to go shopping? And I was like, shopping's fun, you know. And by the way, side note, I had never had a pair of name brand, like back then in order to be popular at school, you had to have name brand skateboard clothes and shoes and whatever. I never in my life owned anything that was name brand, like Vans, Etnies, Volcom, Hurley, all that shit, okay? And so anyway, so I was like, ooh, like I've never just like been able to just go shopping or whatever. So he's like, yeah, you want to go to the mall right now? So, and I'm like, holy shit, okay, yeah, like that sounds fun, you know. And so we get in his truck, his big ass F-350, and we go to Greenville, which is the nearest, it's the next little town over, whatever, where the mall is at. So I get my first pair of skateboard shoes, which means like now I'm on the map. I'm no longer gonna get bullied for having like the type of clothes that you know what I mean? I like, now I'm gonna be like rocking in style like the cool kids at school, you know. So I get the white and blue Etnies, okay, and then I get like a hoodie, you know, like skate t-shirts and shit, like so exciting, okay. We go to like where there's underwear, and he's like, do you want thongs? Are you allowed to wear it? Because obviously I'm too young to wear thongs. It's not even an option yet. Thongs here, I won't tell your mom or whatever, here, get some, like these are cute, you know. And so I'm just like, okay, like whatever, you know. And so we go to like 3 different stores, and he's like just buying me like every freaking thing. Like obviously I've never like had someone buy me things before, so obviously I'm just buying like one thing. And he's like, get what you want, you know. Anyways, so then we get in the car, we go back to his house, okay. Then we get to the house and he takes all the bags and he's like, come on, and he goes in and he's like, come follow me, and he goes into his bedroom and he sets the bags on the bed, and I'm just like kind of like standing there like all awkward and like, oh my god, like why am I in, like why are we in the bedroom, you know? And he's like, here, try on some of your new stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so I pick up a bag and I'm like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom, like the bathroom that's inside of this bedroom. And he's like, no, just, and he pushes the door shut, like the bathroom door shut and the bedroom door is shut, and he's like, no, just try it on right here. So I didn't know what to do, so he just bought me all of this stuff. I can't be like, and so I just froze, and then I was like, okay. So I started like trying clothes on in front of him, and then we're not going to say what happened after that, but you know what happened after that, you know? And then he's like, what do you want to do? Like, let's do something fun. You know what happened after that. So anyways, after all of that, okay, he goes to his nightstand drawer, he opens up and there's like shit fucks of cash money in there, like in the bank rolls and stuff, like with the purple, he had stacks of 2,000. So he pulls out and he hands me $2,000 cash, and he's like, right, make sure like that your mom doesn't find out about this, because she's gonna get jealous because I just gave you more money than I've ever given her. And so I was like, holy fucking shit, you know? So he's like, make sure you fucking hide that money, don't let her, because she's gonna freak out if she sees that you're fucking bankrolling more than her, you know? That's how she is or whatever. So like anytime that my mom would go out of town, which was like constantly, she would come back for a few days and then leave, come back for a few days and leave. So that was the new thing. He was my new babysitter, and she would, every single time she would take me over there, she would stop, either if he was at home or if he was at work, she would just pull up, roll her window down, he would come out, hand her 500 to 1,000 for gas money, and then I would get out of the car, go into the house, and then he would give me like $2,000. Like I ended up being out of my mom's house around the time that I was like 13 to 14. I think I was almost 14. The relationship between me and my mom was over because she started getting extremely jealous, because like when she would come pick me up from there, instead of me being like broken and like you know, more emo than I already, because like with her I was like cutting and it was really bad, so like I was like a little bit like happy and opening up, and I had like nice clothes. And sadly, the reality of it is that I was living technically a better life once that began to start happening, because I was able to spend time away from my mother, who was constantly, brutally, psychologically, mentally, emotionally, physically abusing the F out of me. So I was getting like a reprieve from all of that type of abuse, and simultaneously getting like pampered, if you want to call it that. I know some people are going to be like, bro, why would you call it that? Because it's as a whatever, but that's the reality of the situation, is that my life improved when that began happening, okay? And that's a story for another day, the level of abuse from my mother. Anyways, so she began to get extremely jealous, and that she ended up almost unaliving me. You know what happened after that. So anyways, after all of that, okay. Oh, correct me if I'm wrong. You guys, this is the next chapter of my childhood story, part 23. I'm gonna go into the psychology a little bit of like the actuality of that type of a situation as it's happening, like what I was experiencing as a little girl, specifically who is used to, conditioned to being abused. And if you think back to when you were a child, or when you were like, you know, trying to be a grown-up or whatever, but you're still a kid, the whole thing is like trying to seem like you're grown, or trying to seem like you're older and to be accepted by older people. So when a young girl is being pursued or entertained by a older person, the little girl generally is going to be like, oh my god, an older person is interested in me, that must mean I'm pretty, that means I'm chosen, that means You know what I mean? Like, you're always trying to seem like, you know, like what, for example, when you're 16 and you like might tell people you're 17 or 18, you know? So then if someone that's an adult pursues you, you're like, oh my god, I must be cool or whatever. You're not viewing it like, oh my god, I'm a child, this is illegal, you know? You don't realize that until you're grown looking back, and then you're like, oh my god. So anyways, I absolutely did not, I never viewed myself as a victim. I didn't realize that I was a victim until over 10 years later. All of a sudden it hit me like a bag of bricks to the face, and I then had to process that and get into therapy, and it was intense. Like, realizing, once you realize that you're a victim, that's when like the real shit unleashes onto your life and your psyche, and you have to then deal with it. Before, if you don't recognize yourself as a victim, you're able to cope and deal with life and just like be in like a delulu, and you're fine. It wasn't until well into my adulthood that I have a stepdaughter who is a teenager, and when she became the age that I was when that situation started, I all of a sudden, that plus like a few other things there, but I was like, she's a child. Like, that's literally a child. And the Rubik's Cube just clicked in my brain, and I realized I was a little child. Even, you know, 12, 13-year-old girls, like a 40-year-old. Anyways, note, the worst part of it at that point in time for me subjectively was the physical pain from the you-know-what. It was very excruciatingly painful. You guys, this is the next chapter of my childhood story, part 24 of my childhood story. In addition to what I was saying, I spent literally my entire life being grateful to him, and the situation did save me from something that was actually much worse than that, a worse form of abuse from my mother. So on one level, it did save me from worser abuse, but for pedophilia to save you from something is not justifiable. Also, I spent my entire life expressing gratitude towards my mother for putting me on to turning me out to know how to profit and monopolize on what only God gave me. So one of the most revelational points in my life of understanding now as an adult and like coming to terms with what has happened and the actuality of the situation, and that he does not deserve my gratitude for him saving me from what I was experiencing prior to that, was about 5 years ago. But I was somewhere where the TV was on, and there was the episode, the special about, I don't want to use keywords because they're being censored, but so there was a few women watching that particular episode where they're going deep into the whole, like, breaking it all down, like what he was doing to these girls, you know? And I was seeing like the women who were watching it, their reaction just like, oh my God, what a sick monster. And I was like, wait, I don't get it. I don't understand what he did that's so bad. Watching a show about Epstein, and I was like, that's so strange, because like those girls, like each, you know, these girls are telling their story, and I'm like, they're like lucky that they got that opportunity with him. Like, he's a billionaire. Like, say thank you and like use that to make your life better. That was my perception about 5 years ago, okay? And then like the situation of having a stepdaughter that was getting into that age, okay, that plus like just the Rubik's Cube began to come together, okay? It just started like clicking in my head, and then like just that leveled me. I went into a very deep I was going through domestic violence and stuff. Also, my life was, I was on the verge of death at that point in time, 5 to 6 years ago, you guys. So I began to understand, and I began to realize from watching other people's reaction to the part 25 of my childhood story.
Now I'm going to tell you about when the time was that I decided that I am going to take action and start working on my revenge. Shortly after I had the initial realization, then I was going through really deep emotional turmoil, agony at that time related to other things in my life. Also during that time, I was in the process of healing from some other shit that had been happening, which was obviously what happens to an adult female who has suffered such trauma as a child. It causes all sorts of issues. So then I was dealing with and beginning the process of processing the current issues, which began to trigger all of these memories that I had completely locked away. All of the memories related to that were completely, absolutely buried and were not a part of my operating system until it all started to come up. So related to one of the memories surfacing about me having this trigger of a memory about the ceiling fan, which I told you guys about. Before I started using the ceiling fan repetitions as a way to dissociate during the you-know-what, first, when the situation first started happening, I would stare at the clock. Had one of those big, ugly, black alarm clocks, the big square ones with the huge square red analog numbers. I would stare at the clock the whole time, and he would mention, because he knew why I was looking at the clock. And so then I would look away, but I would and I swear I would look at the clock 1,000 fucking times and it would still be in the same minute. And I knew it takes I would start to learn how many minutes it takes before this is going to be over. So he knew that I was counting down the minutes and using the clock to dissociate. So when the situation would begin, he would turn the clock around so that I couldn't look at the clock. So that's how I developed of having to count the repetitions of the ceiling fan. When I realized that, that memory unlocked in my mind, and I realized that this motherfucker was fully absolute, from an adult perspective, from a grown woman perspective, I suddenly understood the extent to which he knew that I was disassociating and was literally counting down the seconds for it to be over, and the fact that he continued. Part 25 of my childhood story. Okay, you guys, as the story is unfolding, I'm a little bit antsy to show you guys how far I have come, because I'm getting so many nice heartfelt words from you guys of you guys hope that I just achieve all of my dreams in life and that I just heal and I'm doing so good. And so I want you guys to know how far I have come. In 2018, my life completely ended. On a soul level, I was destroyed. It was insane. That's a really long story. That actually is gonna be an entirely separate book, aside from the book that we're already working on writing about my childhood. The other book now is about falling head over heels in love, the most gnarly, deepest love imaginable, with an absolute fucking psychopath. And then because of my trauma and my background, just the two of us, it was just it was a absolute disaster. There's so many details and it's such an in-depth story and everything, and so I'm trying to work out how to present it in a chronological order, and to kind of start venturing to that for you guys, so you can see how the things from my childhood manifested in my relationship once I was an adult, fell in love around the age of like 21 to 22, and that just was like, that was the death of me, because when a young girl has that much of that type of trauma, you are wounded prey. So like they can smell you out. So anyways, yeah, that happened. And that person is the father of my child. I don't talk about her much because that's a whole long story also in itself. So I think a crucial point is that in my toxic, terrible relationship with the love of my life who destroyed me, he's very intelligent, very all about psychology and all of that, and so he dug deep down into the depths of me to dig out and extract out this information of things from my childhood, which I was like living in like la-di-da-di-da, like no, my life's amazing. I thought I was just, everything was fine. And then he like dug up all this, like an entire graveyard basically, and then I then had to deal with that, and then he used all that against me to just terrorize me and destroy me as a human being. It was really fucking sad. Okay, you guys, as the story... Now, with that being said, I want to emphasize the most crucial point of all of this and the most crucial reason why I feel compelled to tell this story. While most people think that, like, well, the horrificness of those things that happened when I was a child is, like, the horrific things that you have to, like, heal and get through in your adult life, that's actually not the worst thing. Once again, the actual true damage that is done and the most complex thing that you have to work through and heal is how that type of a situation affects you in your adult life. And because I have endured such extreme, like the most extreme things that people can imagine, it has allowed me to, in a very profound and clear way, to see and kind of like where I can almost like create like a blueprint for people that are trying to heal from whatever, but to see how these things in your childhood, how they then, like how it translates into your adulthood, and then that creates new problems such as domestic violence, for example. Girls that experience something like that, they're practically guaranteed to go headfirst into domestic violence in their adulthood. And then now that's a whole nother thing that you then have to survive and heal from and get therapy for. And for me personally, the domestic violence was by far more painful, heart-wrenching, horrific. Like there's not even really a comparison to like the experience from my childhood. It doesn't compare to like the, in my heart, to like what the domestic violence did to me. And so to sum up that concept, one of the most crucial things that I want to achieve in my life is to help people to understand and to see the correlation of things or that occur in adulthood and how it's related to the things in childhood, so that we can then heal and stop making continuous mistakes or behaving in certain ways or manifesting and attracting certain things that are harming us, all because of the... Now, with that...
Ooh-wee. That was a lot. I ain't gonna lie. You know, shout out to Victoria from Venus on Instagram, because damn, boy, I couldn't believe she went. But you know what? She ain't the only victim out there. It's many more. If it's something like this going around in a small neighborhood or small town, I mean, just imagine all the crazy things. Well, people be like, black people, because I'm gonna speak for black people because I don't know any other race. Um, when we be like, man, family be holding the deepest, darkest secrets, man. You should hear the secrets that be coming out of these families from small towns, man. That stuff be crazy. So when she say all this, I be like, you know, yeah. I mean, the only thing I can do is believe it, but it's not surprising. And then it's even worse when if you hear about her mama doing it. Like, damn, your mama a dirtbag. Like, she was never a good person in the first place from the beginning of the story. But one of the things that really struck me was like when she was talking about her sister and that her sister's letter, is that her sister feared that she would do the same thing to her daughter, and that's crazy because that's like those are those traumas that are passed on from generation to generation. They call them generational curses, but in all actuality, I don't even know if this woman broke her generational curse. Like for her being abused as a young kid and not even understanding that once she became an adult, and the sex was her little way of escaping, because that's what she knows. She was made a grown woman as a 14-year-old child, and she just continued it. So when she moved to LA, I was thinking, like, when she met the guys in the strip club and they was like, be a model, I was like, I knew she was gonna be in the porn industry, and she said she did. She was in the porn industry, which is crazy. She didn't get no boobs. She was out there in LA. She got lip fillers though, but didn't get no boob fillers. But yeah, it's just, oh, man, that's just crazy. I don't know no stories like that. But anyway, it's truly scary. It's a sad world we live in, that you hear stories like this, and I mean, it's so crazy. It's hard to fathom. Like, bro, us as logical people, most of us, I believe, are logical people. We wouldn't allow something like this to happen, but then, uh, you know, you know, everybody, you don't know what people do behind closed doors. So I think this is very crazy, and I protect my kids to the utmost, and even, man, I don't want to go too personal, but you know, shoot, I got daughters, man. So what do you think? You know, what do you think they think if they see their mom doing certain things, or if they see me doing certain things, they gonna pick up on it. That's why I said, I don't know if I said in the video or my live or something. I was like, man, my kids don't like me don't like seeing me with other women, because they feel like it's taking me away from them, because that's what they feel like. They don't even really have relationships with my other kids. Like, my older kids didn't have a relationship with my second baby mama. My second baby mama kids didn't have a relationship with my last baby mama. So, it's just like they all feel they all feel like some type of, like being daddy being taken away, and so they might feel some way. So that's why I think they hold on to me now, because they're like, nah, hey, don't be bringing no more women around here, That's how they feel. So, and then I gotta turn around and respect that, because that's that's them. Also, I'm gonna start doing this, man. I want people to call in if you got a crazy story you want to tell, and I will cash app you to come and tell your wild ass story. I want to hear true stories. I don't want to hear no shit you made up. But you gotta wow us, and then I'm gonna allow you to put your cash app in the chat. So if you got a good story, people can cash app you $1 or $2. So if you can rank up to $50 if you got a good story. You know what I'm saying? But if your story trash, you ain't gonna get no money. I mean, you'll get paid from me for telling your story, but the people gotta love your story. So I'm thinking about starting to do that on the lives, especially on lives that I really don't have like long lives, maybe like 30 minutes of a video. But ones that's like this, we at 88 minutes. I mean, we can still take a story if somebody want to receive a cash app for a story. Just say something while I do this rant, and then I'll let you call in. But yeah, I want. Matter of fact, I'm gonna just put it on there. I'm gonna be like, hit me up on my Oh, we got the merch coming. T6 got me. We got some stuff working on some merch and stuff. So we got some stuff coming, man. It's just, I'll be busy. Working full time and kids full time and everything else. But yeah, man, I want to hear these. I know people got real stories. Like, I mean, I know the everyday people got real stories. Like, it could be a story about. And you don't have to say names because it's like, it's just like these story times we watching. You know what I'm saying? Like these story times, yeah, they good, but shoot, I want some exclusive stories. Something we ain't gotta go step by step. This is part 1. This is part 27. Put a finger down. And so boom, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, so I'm gonna put that up. I'm gonna try to get that. I'm gonna try to get some people to hit me up on Instagram so they can come and tell their story, man. Because we want to hear from y'all. Like I think it's better in the chat. You know what I'm saying? When we hear people call in and they could talk about some of the things that they go through. So I think that's a good thing that I want to do because it's with me going live, I think it's important. The reason why I go live is to get more involved with the everyday people. Like if I just dropped a video every day, I don't have time to go through all those comments. So and it'd be a lot now. It used to be when I was only getting like 10, 20 comments in a video, I could talk to everybody. But now it's like 100, 200 comments, so it's kind of hard. So, getting those stories and talking to the people, I think is more of, me and y'all getting acquainted, you know what I mean? That's how we're gonna keep it lit, you know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, but I love y'all. I go live because I really love y'all. I really respect everyday people, and we're gonna continue to grow, and we're gonna get out there. We're gonna be the #1 channel. Come 2026, we got to be ranked high on the list, especially when it comes to lives, when it comes to story times, and also my commentary. Like, just like the other day when I was talking about cheating, if people really believe that, but man, if anybody listen to that crap and start doing stuff I'm talking about just so they can cheat on their wife, first of all, you shouldn't want to cheat on your wife. You should leave her at this point, but. And then to go through all that to cheat on your wife, it'd be easier if you just worked on your marriage. You know what I'm saying? So don't take my dumbass advice. I was just shooting the shit, but that was funny. But I can't believe some people really believed it. But man, I don't know. If they believe half the stuff that's out there that goes on online, then something's up. But I just be trying to be entertainment. If y'all don't catch the satire in between me and my wild jokes, then I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, it's really somebody trying to save 3,000 on a burner Ultima. It really is. Like, for real, be for real. Ain't nobody gonna do that. Like, y'all should have known right then. Like, park a car. Man, you doing too much. You might as well just go buy your wife some flowers and fuck her. You know what I'm saying? Anyway. All right, everyday people, man. I guess I got 2 more videos coming for y'all tomorrow, plus a live again tomorrow. Usually, sometimes I be trying to go live on Sunday. Sometimes I get caught up with the family. You know what I'm saying? So, it be that way. We I know y'all want to spend time with y'all family too. My family be like, you gotta go live again. I'm like, yeah, I gotta go live again. I'm trying to stay consistent with this, man. I think we like 3 months in, 3 months in of going live every day for the most part. Yeah, we lit, dog. We are really lit. So shout out to the everyday people who've been keeping it lit with me. And we're gonna see y'all again here tomorrow. But I'm gonna put that post out there so we can get some people to call in and tell us some wild and crazy stories. Cause we don't even have to watch these people's stories. We could just listen to y'all stories. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be lit. Everything take time. You know what I'm saying? Growth is it's all about consistency and doing it. So we'll try to do that at least once a week. Try to get people to call in and tell their story at least once a week. I won't try it every night. I'll try it once a week. You know what I'm saying? So let's keep it lit, big dog. Everyday people. Yeah, story time could get you $50, man. Cause I cash app you, and if your story's good, man, the everyday people will cash app you. Like everybody got $1 on their cash app, they can send to you. Maybe $2. If your story that good, people will pay you to. We want to hear this. We want to hear this shit. We all messy, gonna be messy together. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we're trying to build a community of everyday people, like real tight knit, like a big tight knit community. I want to see like by the end of this year, I want to be having like 1,000, 2,000 people in the chat. You know what I'm saying? Going ham in the chat. Yeah, so that's where it's gonna be lit at. We're gonna be the littest. So everyday people, thank y'all for joining. Thank you, Mods, for keep holding me down. We're gonna keep it lit, big dog. Everyday people, like, comment, and subscribe. Holla at you later. Peace.